Well, New Year's is good news. Nothing wrong with 2019. It was a fine year. 2020, it's a new year. It's a new opportunity. It's a chance to begin anew. It's overwhelmingly good. As Christians, we've always got good news. We've got good news coming at us all the time. Good news to share. Sometimes it's overwhelming, even scary. I was reading recently about just the fact that the news, and by the good news, let's call it truth, beauty, and goodness of God. Let's call it truth. The whole truth, and nothing but the truth, is so overwhelming that we have our ways of avoiding it, blocking it out, and only receiving parts. That means we kind of hear what we want to hear, see what we want to see, touch what we want to touch, etc. Well, apparently, you know how social media works, and it shapes our preferences, whether we're talking about Google or Twitter or Facebook or anything else. We see what we're told we're going to see. But at the same time, apparently, this is according to what I read, we also shape what it is we want to see. We read what it is we want to read, and we do this following the emotions that we want to have. So if we want to be sad, we're going to read things that make us sad, and then our preferences are all going to be shaped around that. If I want to be angry, it's because I'm reading things that make me angry. And why am I reading things that make me angry? It's because I choose to. Makes sense? It's a little crazy. It's the things, the tricks that we play on ourselves, the way the brain works, all of that is kind of silly. Well, the same thing applies to any good news, like the good news of a new year. New Year is a big opportunity, which can be kind of overwhelming. We come up with these New Year's resolutions. I'm going to go out on New Year's Eve, I'm going to get so smashed, I'm going to have such a wild time, and then on January 2nd, I'm going to hit the gym. And I'm going to go every day. Then after a week, it's like, okay, maybe once a week. Then it becomes, okay, maybe once a month. Actually, I listened to a couple of radio hosts, and one of them said, for New Year's, in the new year, he was going to drink beers every Friday night, exercise less, eat more, exercise less. And his co-host said, you got this, you can do this. It's all about going after achievable goals. What is realistic? What can I do? What can I do that is good, surely inspired by the good news before me? Well, as Christians, again, we've got a lot of good news. We've always had good news, and the good news continues to come at us. From the first reading from the book of Numbers, we hear Moses' invitation to send the good news to Aaron and say, the Lord's face shines upon you, brings you peace. God will, in fact, Moses is to say to Aaron, call you Israel, inscribe a name on you and define you as God's people. Now going forward, that becomes a little clearer and actually overwhelmingly good news when we hear what St. Paul says about being adopted sons and daughters of God. Legitimate heirs. In fact, he uses the word sons. We don't translate it anymore into sons and daughters because only sons were legitimate heirs. But the point of the matter is that all of us, men and women, have everything, legitimately everything that Jesus has. We're his legitimate sisters and brothers, legitimate heirs to the kingdom of God. Now, what does that mean? It's so overwhelmingly huge. It's really hard to understand. It's really hard to know what am I supposed to do with that. It's such good news. Well,
The good news, again, is being announced all the time. It was announced, it has been announced all the time. It was announced first, of course, in the flesh to the shepherds. And what did the shepherds do with it? The shepherds went out and they told all sorts of people. They got so excited, they were just moved by this good news. They're just going to go tell everyone. Well, I wonder how long that lasted. Maybe a few days. After a few days, I bet they got over it. I don't think the shepherds, with all due respect to them, because proclaiming the good news that you see and hear is a wonderful thing, I don't think they fully comprehended really what all of that meant. But there's one person who did. And we know she did because she followed through, right through the end. That's why we call her the Immaculate Conceived. The first disciple, the perfect and ideal response to Jesus, the first one to love and to serve him. And that is his mother. On this feast of the Motherhood of God, feast of Mary of many throughout the year, but this one's an important one. Mary treasures the words. She ponders all of it in her heart. And the first thing she does, she may know it's going to end. She's got the same good news that the shepherds have received. This is a child born for the salvation of the world. That's good news. Okay, she gets that. But she also gets the whole of it, the bigger picture, because that comes with consequences. Being a Messiah means he's going to be hated, he's going to be rejected, he's going to suffer. She may not have a clear picture of all the steps of how his life is going to play out. But as any logical person knows, with what Jesus brings comes all sorts of pain and suffering. She gets it. She gets the whole picture. And what does she do? She doesn't treat Jesus differently than any Jewish mother would. She takes her child, she gets him circumcised, she gives him a name. She raises him as her own, which is what she's called to do. She gives him a normal life. Mary's response is a response with a follow-through. She goes with Jesus to his end. It's a response that's got the fullness of understanding, the fullness of love, and therefore service. As people of faith, we have this good news too, the same good news that Mary had. The same good news that the shepherds have. We're part of it. And we become part of it, as St. Paul says, by being adopted as Jesus' sisters and brothers, legitimate heirs to the kingdom of God. It's huge. We also have before us that constant opportunity to respond to it by making changes in our lives for the good so that we can better love and serve others. Questions we might ask ourselves is, am I being bold enough? Am I challenging myself enough? Am I being realistic enough? And am I wise enough to know the difference? As people of faith, the good news is there. The good news is sending us forth. The good news is a God who is present to us for our salvation and for the salvation of the world. May the good news transform us to be courageous and serene and wise. May we be bold and realistic. May we go forth proclaiming, sharing the good news that we have received. Understanding as best we can what Mary understands. All of it. May we be open to the truth, beauty, and goodness of God. And follow our Lord Jesus.